Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome in. This is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered's bi-weekly SEC football show, the best SEC football show on the internet. We welcome you here on this Sunday, November the 23rd. Of course, it is Sunday Fun Day, week number 13 edition, as week 13 is officially in the books. And before we turn our attention to one of the best weeks of the college football season, that being Rivalry Week, we're going to talk about everything that took place in week number 13, react to all of the big victories, all of the games shaping the college football playoff puzzle, the SEC title race, and of course, we're going to talk more Lane Kiffin. The saga continues. I don't know if we have more questions or we have more answers. Either way, we are going to discuss it. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. And again, we are really excited to chat with you all here on this Sunday night. Before we get rocking and rolling, as always, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. We are inching ever so close to that 30,000 subscriber mark. We cannot do it without your love and support. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Week number 13 is officially in the books. This is the Overtime Drive Sunday Funding edition here on this Sunday, November the 23rd. We are here reacting to everything that took place. And of course, guys, we're going to update you and give you the latest on the Lane Kiffin saga as we go into a very important week, not just for Ole Miss, for Florida, for LSU, and for Lane Kiffin, but really when you think about it, the entire landscape of the SEC and the entire landscape of college football, because it is decisions like these that tend to have a ripple effect and a domino effect and essentially shape the sport when you think back at some of these big coaching searches over the years past. So again, we're going to get into all that also, of course, taking your questions, taking your comments. We want to hear from all of you. And again, we appreciate you all tuning in. Like I mentioned, I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, the man that held it down over the weekend for you all. Did a great job doing so, Mr. Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, friend? Appreciate you taking the time. Really excited to chat with you about everything that took place. An entertaining Saturday, no doubt. Cupcake Saturday, as it's labeled by most, which understandably when you look at some of the results, but either way, we got a lot to discuss, man, going in the final week of the regular season, which I know I brought a tear to your eye earlier today when I brought that up. But no, pumped to do it, man. Pumped to chat with you.
So how was watching Arch Manning make history down in Austin only to come up short and not make the college football playoff? How fun was that? I'm okay with poking the bear. Yeah. I'm okay with poking the bear, guys. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say. Texas right now is not going to the college football playoff. I don't care what happens on Friday night. You're not. Sorry, going out there. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off at this point.
Yeah, we will definitely get into that, Bear. Again, there were some results on Saturday, and some of that chatter came back up for sure because of Arch Manning's heroics on Saturday, the history made. I do want to get into that, and I want to get kind of the vibe because you mentioned, like, what was it like in Austin? I certainly want to get to what the vibe was like at the game, around the tailgate, what have you, the weekend in Austin. But we got to start. I want to start with this Lane Kiffin thing. You know what's funny? Like, again, you asked the vibe about the game day and everything. I almost felt like my brain was mush this past weekend because we got so lost in the Lane Kiffin stuff that it was almost like, hey, just a reminder, there are football games this weekend. Like, it has dominated my headspace for the last week. Like, that's all we can talk about. That's all we can think about. The numbers reflect that, by the way. I mean, listen, we're doing it for the good of the people. We're giving you guys updates as we get them. Again, we don't label ourselves, at least I don't label myself as an insider, but I am a guy who hears some things from people all across the league, and I hear enough from all three of these parties and people that know a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to Lane Kiffin to be able to have an opinion on this and give you guys an idea of at least where we're leaning. But when you're getting hundreds of thousands of views on the latest reports on where Lane Kiffin may or may not end up, I mean, this thing has become it's bigger than the games. Like, and it's proof that people love the drama, by the way. There's no doubt people just love drama. So,
dude, we're living in the reality TV show right now with Lane Kiffin.
It is. It is. I like what you said, Bear. We are living in this is the simulation. We are the NPCs. It's beyond a script writer couldn't put this together. And I want to go back there because, again, you and I have not spoken since essentially middle of last week, if you will. So we haven't gotten to the Keith, and we'll be kind of quick with this because I know a lot has happened. I don't want to spend too much time on one individual thing. But you and I, again, Bear, have not spoken since the Keith Carter statement, since the reports on Saturday morning in regards to LSU. And obviously we follow up today, and there's things that I heard that I want to get into. So in case you've been living under a rock, which I know nobody tuned in is, but I want to catch everybody up, get you up to speed. Obviously what happened last week, all the rumors, is he staying at Ole Miss? Is he going to Florida? Is he going to LSU? We updated you guys Wednesday night into Thursday what we had heard. So Friday obviously was the big meeting. Athletic director Keith Carter. We found out Chancellor Boyce was also involved, and Lane Kiffin. This statement is released on Friday. Quote, Coach Kiffin and I have had many poignant positive conversations regarding his future at Ole Miss, including me today with Chancellor Boyce while we discuss next steps. We know we cannot lose sight of what is most important, our sixth-ranked team that is poised to finish the regular season in historic fashion. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, and together we want to ensure that our players and coaches can concentrate fully on next Friday's game. This team is on the cusp of an unprecedented season. It's imperative they feel the support of the Ole Miss family in the week ahead. An announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game. So, the day after the Egg Bowl. Bear, really quickly, and I know you and I both shared our thoughts and opinions on this on social media, and I think you and I maybe agree on this. The moment I read that, I said, he's gone. There was just nothing about that statement from Keith Carter that tells me he's going to be back next season. I don't know how you can, and you never know with Kiffin. You never know. You genuinely never know. You can't say anything 0%. But I read that and said, he is absolutely gone. Like, it feels to me like they probably came to an agreement. Hey, you're leaving. We know you're leaving. Coach out the last regular season game. Keep this thing together through the week and to the Egg Bowl. Go win the Egg Bowl and sail off in the sunset on Saturday. And maybe I don't know. Like, that's what's so fascinating. We don't know if he leaves. Is he going to go to the playoff? We don't know what all those details are. But, I mean, Bear, you tell me. I read that. I'm like, there is no way he is back next year.
It's the most Lane Kiffin thing to just troll every single person and then go back, turn around, and do the whole I'm not leaving approach from Wolf of Wall Street, and I could believe that. My first thought went to, this is just going to end up being horrible for Ole Miss in their 11-win season because it's not going to happen. I don't know if you know this, Chris Phillips, but ladies and gentlemen, whenever there is a coaching rumor surrounding a guy at one of these two schools in the Egg Bowl, it doesn't go well. 1998, Tommy Tuberville, I will leave Oxford in a pine box. Well, they ended up losing the Egg Bowl that year. In fact, the final score of that one, 28-6. Dan Mullen, in 2017, I don't know if I'm going to take the Florida job. I'm really happy at where I'm at. I feel really confident in my team. 31-28 final score. You lose, you go to Florida. And then 2022, Lane Kiffin, rumored to go to Auburn. Remember that whole saga? Hey, want to go down to the Plains. We want to give him a lot of money. Landry said, you know what? Stick it around. Well, what happened that year? Well, sadly, after starting off the year in an impressive 7-1 feat, they lost all 4 of their last games, including the Egg Bowl, 24-22. So my first thought went to, as much distractions as we're trying to avoid, we're creating more and more and more and more and more distractions. And I'm now nervous for Ole Miss to actually accomplish this feat. That was the first thing I thought of. And then the second thing I thought of was, okay, where is he going? Because it's not going to be at Ole Miss. Guys, I could see it actually happening. I really could. He leaves the podium, 11-win season. He has the contract in his hands. He signs it right there in front of all the media members. We done? Like, I could easily see him do that. But at the same time, why are you not signing a contract when they're not going to give you anything else? They've given you the best offer that they have. They presented you with everything that you could possibly ask for, and you still didn't sign on the dotted line Friday. What's going to change in the next 6 days to where you're going to now sign before Saturday afternoon rolls around? What? LSU giving you a little bit more money? Florida coming up with a better offer? you realizing that both of those schools are actually rescinding some of that money and then you're content with it? Like, what's happening? They can't make an announcement because they got to wait until the Egg Bowl happens. But the announcement was made. It just is not in formality, written form until we get to Saturday morning. That's just it, in my opinion. And he's not going to be there on Saturday. And he's not going to be there for the college football playoff. And you know what? It's a damn shame, but it's also part of the issue in the world of college football. It is. And this is where the only time I will defend Lane Kiffin on this entire argument. The schedule needs to differ. The problem is that you can't do that in the current stage of college football. With early signing period, with the transfer portal, with all the roster moves and all the coaching carousels that are going on, you got to pull the plug now. That's what it is. That's what it is. So Lane's got to do what Lane thinks is best. But he didn't sign on the dotted line Friday. What makes you think he's going to sign on the dotted line next Saturday? Because I'll tell you what, if they are going to let him coach in the Egg Bowl, he has to sign. I mean, in the playoff, he has to sign. He does. So I agree with you. I think if they have come to an agreement behind closed doors, we know how important hosting a playoff game is for the city of Oxford. You can go. No hard feelings. We're going to hate you in about 3 to 4 months, but we'll get it. And we'll find a coach that comes on in and he believes in the future of Ole Miss. But the millions of dollars that we could bring on in simply by saying we host a playoff game is worth it. And you owe us that much. So go out there and win us the freaking Egg Bowl. That way we can at least say that. That was my theory.
Bear, I want to jump to this. Our guy, Marine Rebel, with a $4.99 super chat. Marine Rebel, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is an Ole Miss fan. I just want him gone. I get tired of this crap every year or two. Get somebody who wants to be here. I mean, listen, it is exhausting when you don't know if your coach, because his name is essentially out there every single year. I want to keep it moving because, again, there are more developments. Obviously, Saturday morning, Bear, we got the news that LSU was finalizing an offer to make Lane Kiffin their head coach. Ross Dellinger over at Yahoo Sports tweeted out on Saturday, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss met Friday. Confidence brewed in Baton Rouge. LSU's finalizing a near $90 million+ offer to the coach, blessed by the governor, and $25 million+ in annual roster cash, and its most serious push to gain his commitment, which we had kind of heard that from people that we had talked to, that the $15 million per year number, certainly we had heard that. I'd heard a little more than NIL. I thought it would be a little bit more, but essentially around that number, 30-ish million dollars, what have you. It sounds like all of the offers are essentially the same. So I tweeted out on Friday, and I actually got some word from some others that, people that I trust that felt really, really confident. Hey, this LSU thing is happening. Like it's more than likely going to be LSU. My confidence in him signing with LSU went up. I put it at like 65%. Right before we went live, I dropped it to 50%. LSU's still the leader, and I believe it was 30% Florida, 20% Ole Miss. There were two reasons I did that. Number one, I feel like with Lane Kiffin, anything above 50% for anybody is probably too much because I have no doubts he could absolutely pull the rug from under us and do something unexpected. The other reason is, what's interesting is this, and I've talked to folks down in Gainesville, and, there's different strategies of the thing. LSU's letting a lot of stuff leak. A lot of stuff is leaking. You'll notice nothing has really leaked from the Florida side outside of them going to meet with him on Thursday night. Well, the reason for that is because they have a search committee operating this coaching search. And when you have a search committee, things don't leak. There aren't leaks. That's the point of having a search committee. So there's actually a quiet confidence and belief that Florida is still in it. Again, that comes from Gator people, so take it for what it's worth. I still feel confident that LSU is the favorite. As of right now, today, I would say he signs with LSU. Again, I think we all agree it's the biggest long shot that he stays in Oxford. He's not operating like a guy where it's a priority to return to Ole Miss. He's just not. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if he does come back to Ole Miss, you're like, dude, why did you put us through that? Like, when you didn't have to. I mean, they would take him back in a heartbeat, and I wouldn't blame them if they did. But It's like, at this point, you're like, why would you put us through the ringer like that? Either way, I don't think it's going to be Ole Miss. I still feel confident in LSU. But again, I have heard there is a confidence from the Florida side. They feel like they are still very much in it. With that being said, because it's funny, Bear, this coaching search is so wild. You say anything positive about one side or just even like what I just said about Florida, oh my God, LSU will blow a gasket. You say something about LSU, oh, Florida people, they blow a gasket. Ole Miss will blow a gasket. Everybody's all up in arms and all in their feelings on this coaching search. They feel confident they're still in it. They are prepared, though. They are operating as if, okay, we need to have that plan B in case plan A doesn't work because there's no guarantee. I think LSU is the one that feels certainly, again, the most confident they're going to land him. And there's also a belief behind closed doors, which I think is interesting, that LSU has the slight edge because apparently there's a belief from Lane Kiffin that LSU is in a better position to win immediately than Florida is. Now, obviously, Florida doesn't believe that to be true. I think that's sort of an up-in-the-air debate. Whatever you think is what you think. I mean, I think there's pros to LSU. I think there's pros to Florida. And then there's cons to both as well that you could poke holes in each of their cases. So, my question, Bear, to you is this, because this is going to be a weird week. We're going to talk about it when we break down the Egg Bowl. You talk about a distraction. My God. I mean –
it's the biggest one you could ever imagine. I don't
know how Ole Miss locks into the game. Again, we'll talk about it a lot more when we preview that game. The question I wanted to pose to you, Bear, and the audience as well, and I've thought about this, which fan base is going to crash out the hardest if they don't get Lane Kiffin? I think it's got to be LSU because they have put all their eggs in this basket. Florida's going to be really upset. They're going to be pissed off at Scott Strickland. There's no question. I think Ole Miss is just going to be pissed off. And at that point, I think they're going to be like, you know what? Good freaking riddance, dude. Like, we're sick and tired of you. You've dragged us through the mud long enough. But I still think it's LSU. I think if LSU doesn't land Lane Kiffin, Baton Rouge might burn to the ground. I mean, I don't want to over-exaggerate. Jeff Landry might have to go in the witness protection program. Like, it will be that bad of a crash out. I am fascinated to see because, again, when this thing finally comes together and he finally signs the dotted line somewhere, those other two fan bases, it's going to be pure cinema from both of them. Not that I'm excited because we love all three of these fan bases. We love their fans, but it is going to be wild to witness.
I would say Florida is the one that crashed out the hardest. Okay. And here's the reason why. Because at the end of the day, LSU can turn in any direction and say, we will pay you sums of money to come be our head coach. We have the best recruiting background that you could ever ask for. We literally own the state. Everybody that is a 4 or 5 star, they don't dream about playing outside of Louisiana. They want to come play in Death Valley. We can build this thing on up. We can utilize the transfer portal. We can give you some resources to where if we think that we're just a few inches away, we're willing to spend the extra dollar. I think with Florida, once again, you swung and missed when it felt like with Jim McElwain. You swung and missed when it felt like when you had Will Muschamp. You swung and missed when you brought in Dan Mullen, even though I didn't think Dan Mullen was that bad of a hire. There's a lot of things that were going on behind closed doors that didn't see eye to eye. You swung and missed with Billy Napier. And now you're not getting Kiffin after talking a mad game that you were going to get Kiffin. I see people every single day from Florida have gone from, we're going to land him, shut up, we're better than you, we know that we're going to land him, you're an idiot, to, okay, wave the white flag, we might as well go ahead and call it Missouri, to, holy crap, we're right back in this thing, to, oh my God, I can't believe that we're actually not even going to compare to a team like Ole Miss. Like, Ole Miss has a lead over us, to, look at us, get back on the Lane train, we're all excited. Like, they have been so strung along, like the girl that knows she's never going to date the dude, but he is just trying to get every little ounce of her before he says, you're just damaged goods. That's going to be Florida. Because then where do you turn? Like, the thing about a team like LSU is probably going to convince somebody that we have not heard from to leave their post and come on down to Baton Rouge. Florida's looking at all these guys that are currently available. Eli Drinkwitz. All right, he lost this weekend. Brent Key. All right, well, he lost this weekend. Oh, how about we go with Alex Golish? G5 approach again? No, thank you. How about Bob Chesney? Shut up. Don't ever bring up a G5 head coach. We just went the Sun Belt route. So, like, it feels like for them, everything is so fixated on Lane, and they talked a big game that they could outwork LSU, and it's just a prominent job. I'm not sure you feel that way if you're Florida, because all the options that are available, they're struggling at this point. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I think you're all right, though. Ole Miss will be the one that's like, look, we're going to go bring in a good head coach. We got to retain as many of these players as possible. That way they don't leave us with Lane. But we may end up being in a good spot. I will preface this, though, to Ole Miss fans, because you know that I tell it as is, especially with you people. You're going to be fine. Fine to me is a 9-win season. The 11-win campaigns, you're going to have to find a coach that can elevate the status of this team, have the right resources, and prove that he can develop talent the way that Lane did. Because that was the one thing that Lane was a master at. Finding players in the portal, paying sums of money, and making them better prepared for the NFL. I don't know if you're going to be able to get that the next head coach. That's where I call the distinction and the separation of other people saying, well, Ole Miss will be right back in the playoffs. They may not, because that was the beauty of what Lane Kiffin brought. The attention to detail on understanding offensive and defensive talent. That was the difference between the two.
Bear, I want to jump to this comment really quickly. Our guy Cole Patrick says Ole Miss is more immediate than both. Chris, what are you talking about? Cole, this is not my opinion on which program is more immediate to win immediately. This is between LSU and Florida. This has nothing to do with Ole Miss. So again,
right.
I've been told by Florida people that there is a belief between LSU and Florida that LSU is in a better spot to win immediately than Florida. You're right. I mean, obviously, Ole Miss is a game away from going 11-1 and potentially being in the SEC title, certainly being in the college football playoff. You're absolutely correct. Again, this is not my opinion. That is the belief of what Lane feels between LSU and Florida. So I want to make that very, very clear. I'm not saying that. Listen, I don't think those programs are in a better spot than Ole Miss at all. I mean, I literally posted today. Listen, LSU and Florida both have talent. They can bring in talent. Like, I don't think it's some overnight fix with either one of them. I mean, look at the products on the field right now. I get guys are injured and it's a mess. You have no coach, but like, I don't know that LSU or Florida wins more games next year, even if Lane Kiffin takes their job than Ole Miss. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know.
Florida, yes, far and away. Florida has a shot to go 3-9 this year. Lane goes down there, they're going to win more than 3 games.
No, I'm saying wins more games than Ole Miss next year.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Florida don't go better than 3-9.
Okay, for LSU, if you retain Blake Baker as your defense coordinator and he can retain as much of that defensive talent, yes, I could see a scenario where they have more wins. I can't. Florida, I agree with you, because you got to ask yourself, who's back? Like, how many of these players? Because the one beauty about a team like Florida, they have a lot of good offensive players. It is Nashawn Montgomery coming on back, Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, Jaden Baugh. By the way, Jaden Baugh, guys, priority in the transfer portal, priority if you're Florida to keep. Like, that is number one guy.
I've heard multiple. There are multiple SEC schools that want Jaden
I am refusing to let him walk out that door. I am refusing. I will pay whatever it takes. But, like, they have enough offensive talent where a coach like Lane comes on in. He can at least make them, I would say, predominantly the focal point of the team. I think at LSU, you keep as many of the defensive names, plus you also keep Blake Baker on your staff, and then the rumor of Ed O coming on back in to coach defensive line. That's enough to make me enticed that they can get to a 9-10 win season. Now, I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it would entice me.
Want to jump to this one, Bear. G. Glimpse says, I can't see a world where LSU's fixing to pay $90 million plus $25 million, and NIL will also having to pay Brian Kelly $54 million. Like, there's no way they can afford that unless they have gold reserves. G. Glimpse, the mafia down in Louisiana is very real. I want to tread lightly when I say this because I don't want them to put me on their list next, but I know it does. You're not wrong. It seems crazy, but let me put it this way. There's a lot more money stuffed under mattresses than you think down there. I'll put it that way. This is a case of like, it just means more. It might mean too much, like really, truly, but they got it. I mean, they got it somewhere. Somebody's got it. So I get it.
Yeah,
so.
No. LSU had enough money to go ahead and look at Brian Kelly and say, we're good. They have enough money to pay for the next head coach. Like, you don't make that type of move if you don't know that you have the money set aside to be able to make that type of move.
No doubt. Bears, we move off the Lane Kiffin thing. Predictions going in the week. LSU? I mean, we're going to talk about this all week, so this isn't like your final one. I'm just, as of Sunday, November the 23rd.
He's a troll. It's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss.
That would be so wild.
He's such a troll. Like, this is right up his alley.
That would be
right
wild.
up his alley.
That would be wild. That would be absolutely wild.
If the tea leaves are adding all up and you hear people talking about this gig and talking about how it is, this is the ultimate troll job from Lane Kiffin. Quite literally saying, No, definitely not you. No, definitely not you. I'm staying here. Let's go win us a playoff game.
I think he should do that, but I'm going to say right now, I'm going to say LSU. Again, I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. We're going to have time to react to all this when it happens. I will have a really hard time respecting Lane Kiffin if he quits on his team. I will. I don't want to get too far ahead because that may not happen. We don't know what scenario is going to play out, but the calendar, I get it, but man, it just. And I don't know, maybe if Ole Miss is telling him to walk and he wants to coach, then so I don't want to, be too over the top here. What I'm going to say, there's plenty of time to have these opinions, but man, it just kind of makes my stomach turn to think about that. It makes my stomach, even if they beat Mississippi State, it makes my stomach turn to think about this Ole Miss team. Again, the focus not at all being where it should be because he's walking after the final regular season game.
Can I ask you a question before we move on? In the world of college football where Lane has to go ahead and look at his future and say, what's best for me is to leave and go to LSU or Florida and not be in the playoff. Is there a scenario where several of the key players that have eligibility for Ole Miss also leave, thus hurting the team even more? Or because
I don't doubt it at all. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss has another year. I mean, who says he doesn't follow him?
I mean, what's the thing that LSU's been missing?
Are those guys playing for Ole Miss or are they playing for Lane Kiffin? I don't know. And I mean, it's a split, I'm sure.
So. That's the part that really hurts. Yeah. Lane's one thing. Taking the players that can help this program win a playoff game, that's another.
That said, guys, again, we'll continue to update you everything we hear. As you know, this is not the last time. Certainly this week we're going to be talking about this. It will be a ongoing topic for us. But let's get to some of the ball games, Bear. There was football on the field this weekend, believe it or not. I want to start with the game, of course, that we were at down in Austin, Texas. Got back earlier today from Austin. First things first, shout out to the people of Austin. It's one of my favorite trips every single year. Austin, Texas is absolutely incredible. Love going to Texas. The people are great. Shout out to our guy, Alex Daltreve, who I finally met for the first time. We're going to be doing some content together. If you're on TikTok, you've probably seen him. He's going to be doing some content with us. Really excited. Help show me around, Austin native. Everybody we linked up was great. Getting into the game, Bear, it was interesting, too. I want to say that the mood and the vibe, great crowd. It was a jam-packed crowd. But you could tell the vibe was definitely, dampened a little bit. I think the realization that probably no college football playoff is happening. Most were down on the team that I talked to. They were, very down and out, despondent. Obviously, you're coming off that Georgia loss. And I think it's interesting. A lot of Texas fans took this so personally. And I picked Texas to win, but I put it out there, hey, this is a culture game for Texas. Let's see how they respond. And early on, they got punched in the face a little bit. It was shaky early on. Texas obviously pulls away, wins the game 52-37. I bring up that clip because I'm getting comments and Texas fans that took it so personally, like I was attacking Texas. It was just a question. It was a question. Either way, I get it. Y'all a little on edge right now. I understand. But Bear, a guy that responded the right way or at least kept up his hot play was Arch Manning because he set records. Never before had a Texas quarterback had a receiving, passing, and rushing touchdown in a game. He does that 18 for 30 through the air, 389, 4 touchdowns to his credit. Of course, it was Parker Livingston who threw him the 4-yard touchdown pass, which great catch, by the way, jumping up and reaching up, snagging that thing. It was a full-on offensive display, Bear. Interestingly enough, the turnovers played a big part in this because Arkansas actually, I believe, outgained Texas in the ball game. They outgained them 5-12 to 490. But this game had a little bit of everything. You had a scoop and score. You had Taylon Green throwing one of the most outrageous interceptions you will ever witness. You had him making big plays. Arkansas, like I said in that first half, at one point this game was 24-20, but Texas pulls away, Bear. And I think the maddening thing and the frustrating thing and the thing you're pulling your hair out over if you're a Texas fan is, where has this been all season? This is what we all thought this offense was going to look like. I say that while also acknowledging this is probably one of the worst defenses that Texas has played all season. But, you weren't even able to do this against Sam Houston. against UTEP, like some of these non-conference games early in the season, and you get this big offensive explosion, and certainly you're optimistic about what it means to be going into next weekend, obviously in the game against Texas A&M, but it's got to be frustrating, right? It's got to be maddening to look at this game and say, where has this been all season long? They used tons of different receivers in this game. The running game was just okay. I mean, you ran it just 100 yards, but a ton of different guys. Livingston, Mosley, Wingo, Moore, injuries. So many different dudes contributed in the passing game, and Arch Manning looked as good as he's looked all season. And again, record-setting day for him. I want to get into the playoff combo in a second, Bear, but your reaction to just this game as a whole and how it played out.
It's almost like you need to give a quarterback who hadn't been a full-time starter in his entire career a little bit of time to kind of adjust to life as a college football starter, and then maybe he would figure some things out instead of putting the wagon before the horse. I don't know, Paul Feinbaum. That's just me. I mean, that's just me as an individual saying before we go ahead and crown him as the next big-time player, why don't we let him get a little bit more acclimated to the system? And he did. And I will say, yes, this is a horrendous defense in the SEC that is currently on a 9-game losing streak. Let me remind everybody, 9-game losing streak. But Arch was making good throws. He was force-feeding it down the field. He was right on the money. The touch was there. Decision-making was through the roof. 3 touchdowns to DeAndre Moore. They weren't afraid to go ahead and get the explosives involved. Parker Livingston with the big 54-yard catch. 6 plays of over 20 yards downfield in the passing game. They didn't have an elite running game, but they really didn't have to in this matchup. And the defense, which wasn't early on, we can admit they did. They gave up 14 points. I mean, they gave up over 20 points in the first half. 14 points are going to close things out, over 500 total yards. They were able to at least get some pressure on both Taylon Green and KJ Jackson to where they made it an interesting battle. This was one of those games to where, hey, Texas has an elite defense. We've talked about it all year for how well they played. They kind of been missing that juice at times, specifically in the pass defense game. All right, well, let's see if your offense can win you a football game. Asked and answered. They were up by 3 scores most of the afternoon, starting in the second half, and they didn't take their foot off the gas. So you look at all the things that you want to see from Arch Manning in this offense for Steve Sarkisian, you got to feel overjoyed, overzealous about this. But here's where my brain goes, and I'll talk about Arkansas in a second, but my brain goes to immediately, I see a lot of Texas fans. Well, if we didn't play Ohio State week 1, we would have been in the college football playoff. If we didn't play Ohio State and lose by 7 week 1, we would have been in the college football playoff. Ladies, gentlemen, Longhorn Nation everywhere, the reason you're in the conversation for the college football playoff as a 3-loss team is because you played Ohio State. If you didn't play Ohio State and you lost just to Florida in the fashion that you did, you would not be in the college football playoff conversation, regardless of if you beat Texas A&M. That's just the truth. Because if at least the committee has shown you, they will reward you for scheduling tough non-conference games. That was why Texas made the jump into the top 10. That was why Texas wasn't penalized for facing off against Ohio State. The reason why you're not in the college football playoff conversation, in my eyes, having a dreadful performance, both offensively and at times defensively. Both defensively and at times offensively against Florida, 2 horrendous interceptions, and dropping a dud on national television against Georgia. That's it. And the beauty is, you're going to be a team that can say you won 3 games potentially against top 10 opponents. You're definitely building in the right direction. There's a lot of positivity and traction for this team. The good news is that if you win that game, you go 9-3, maybe you'll be able to at least get the conversation going. But all kidding aside, you'll be able to go into the transfer portal, start looking at recruits and saying, what do we need to add to fix to build around Arch Manning? Because I saw once again that Arch is as advertised when he is playing comfortable. We got to make him feel comfortable all next season.
Our guy Go Horns says Arkansas's average margin of defeat in SEC play 4 points. Texas beat them by 15. I've seen this too since the game, and man, I get it. Arkansas has lost a lot of games close in SEC play. Like, I totally understand that. But, brother, if we're at the point where we are hanging the banner for beating Arkansas by 2 touchdowns, who hadn't won a conference game all season, my God, where has Texas's season gone?
Where's your pride as a Texas fan?
I mean, again, I'm not trying to come at Texas fans at all. But I mean, I was getting chirped by a buddy of mine, text me after the game, and I'm like, dude, you have to be joking. Like, you have to be joking. Like, I get it. Arkansas has hung close with a lot of teams, but they've been blown out this season. They lost to Memphis. I mean, are you really like taking the the victory lap. Either way, I agree with you. I don't think Texas is a college football playoff team, even if they beat Texas A&M. And that's a huge if, by the way. Huge if. I know Texas fans are going to come in this week, tons of confidence. Again, my same buddy who was chirping me already saying, Texas A&M hadn't played anybody. I'm like, they're 11-0. We'll get there this week when we talk about the game. But for the love of God, like, they are 11-0. 11-0. So, I don't think Texas is a playoff team. I understand you could end up with 3 top 10 wins. I understand. And they're not a playoff team from the simple standpoint that they were at 17 last week in the college football playoff rankings. And we'll see where they are this week. I just don't think it's going to be enough of a bump to get in the top 10, which is what you're going to have to do. Because who are you bumping out? I mean, who you're going to be bumping out someone? Yeah. You're going to need a ton of chaos, tons of it, which very well could happen. But no, I mean, you can poke holes on both sides. You could say, hey, we got 3 top 10 wins. You also had to go to overtime against Kentucky and Mississippi State to beat them. I mean, there's also a case of eye test.
25 to a top 5 team on the road. And you also lost by 8 to a team that is going to finish the year 4-8 or 3-9.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like you said, it's not the Ohio State game. I look at it's don't go to Gainesville and get your teeth kicked in against a bad football team. Right. That's the game that costs you. That's the game that costs you.
By the way, keep this in mind, Chris. If they end up winning on Friday, they would have 1 conference loss and 3 top 10 wins. Brother, they could be 10-2, much like Alabama, and be going to Atlanta because they'd have a head-to-head win over Texas A&M. But you lost to Florida. Here would be an interesting stat for you. What do you think the committee does if Texas and Vanderbilt both win on Saturday and a bunch of chaos happens? Pitt beats Miami and Utah loses and BYU loses. And let's just say Alabama loses. Just throw them in there too. Do you reward Texas for winning the head-to-head against Vanderbilt? Because they did. Or because if Texas has 3 losses, they still stay behind Vanderbilt?
I just can't justify a 3-loss team getting in ahead of a 2-loss team in the SEC. I can't do it. I know. Here's the thing. If they would have throttled Vandy, and I know that there were some quote-unquote garbage touchdowns, whatever. Right. But the fact of the matter, it was a 34-31 game in Austin. Again, it does not feel right to me to put a 3-loss team in ahead of a 2-loss team, both being SEC teams. This isn't a 3-loss SEC versus 2-loss ACC. That's not the combo we're having. It's a 3-loss and a 2-loss SEC team. I understand Texas won the head-to-head, but I mean, dude, I'll be honest with you. Right now on a neutral field, I don't know that I wouldn't pick Vandy to win the game. I don't know that Vandy on a neutral field would not win the football game. And that's up for debate. Certainly it's up for debate. But I just, Bear, and I know logo bias would play into this hard, but I can't see it, man. I would not feel good about that. I would not. If Vandy goes 10-2, they absolutely deserve to be in the college football playoff, period. So.
I don't, deserve is not the right word. I would put them in over Texas. I would. Because of, again, what they were able to accomplish this year, winning on the road against a team in Tennessee that just found its mojo back, making it a close call, I would say that. But I would understand if people were to go ahead and have this conversation, especially the committee. Hey, they won the head-to-head. At some point, head-to-heads have to matter. But then again, head-to-heads don't matter because of Notre Dame should be behind Miami at that standpoint, and they're not. So regardless, Miami's not. Notre Dame's not in a conference, so they get the benefit of the doubt. Sorry, I don't mean to go ahead and say that. For Arkansas, though, there is one silver lining if you are the next head coach, and you got to see him. KJ Jackson's got something. I don't know what it is.
Dude, he balled.
But he's got something to him. And that's going to be a priority for the next coach, which is why I think you got to go an offensive-minded guy. That's going to be a priority for the next person to kind of keep him around.
Yeah, KJ's a spark plug. I'll give him that. Very elusive. I thought he had a really lively arm. Made some good decisions. Obviously made some big plays on the stretch. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think KJ Jackson's a baller. I think he's going to be a dude for them. But you got to bring in the right guy, right offensive system. But he's got tools. Like, very obviously has tools. I think with some good coaching, some coaching up, I think he's a guy that could do a lot of damage. Another KJ in Fayetteville, by the way. I think he could do some damage for the Hogs. But, yeah, big win for Texas. Obviously, the conversation this week going to be around the rivalry game and the playoff. And that's the big thing, Bear. We're having this combo. By the way, you got to go beat Texas A&M.
Right. Let's start there.
Yeah, you got to start there before you start having wild dreams about the college football playoff. But either way, Texas with the big 52-37 win again. Thank you to all the great Longhorns. We had an absolute blast. Austin never misses. Can't say thank y'all enough. DKR is one of the best in the SEC. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was weird. The trip was a long, short trip because of the way the travel worked. I got in so late Thursday and left. Bear, I was up at 4 a.m. this morning to go to the airport, by the way.
I was Denver. I was sitting in that airport all day.
Well, I slept for like the first hour and a half, and yeah, just got some stuff done. You know that because I was texting you. Got some stuff done. Yeah, it was really stupid that I had a connecting flight from a trip from Austin to Nashville, but it's just kind of the way it worked out. So either way, it is what it is. Bear, let's keep it moving. Let's jump to, I want to go to this one. Let's jump to the game that took place in the Swamp.
Okay.
Because to start this off, of course, Vols win this football game 31-11, and I don't even think it was that close. I mean, Tennessee just out the gate, belt to ass in every sense of the word. Every sense of the word, dominated the Florida Gators in the Swamp. They beat the Gators in Gainesville, first time since 2003. Bear, I'm here to eat some crow because I picked Florida in this game. And I feel like I have doubted Tennessee a lot this season, sometimes deservedly. There's been some games where I've picked against them, and obviously it came to fruition. Went to the game on Rocky Top, and hell, I picked against them on the road trip we took, and sure enough, Georgia found a way to pull it off. But there's a lot of Tennessee fans that think I have some vendetta against them or I dislike them. It kind of goes back to, I ranked Joey Aguilar 16th in the conference, which was, listen, it was a terrible pick. I get it. It was a terrible pick. I still stand by my school of thinking at that point.
You had Zach Calzada in the conference.
The guys beat Alabama. I mean, he's got to win over Bama. If we're going to put Hugh Freeze on a mountaintop for doing it, then I'd give Zach Calzada some love.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but hey, they're both, look at how they both turned out. But no, listen, I'm going to have, and I'm sure Bear will too, but I'm going to have postseason quarterback rankings. I can assure you I will put respect on Joey Aguilar's name. But I want to say to all the Vols, I'm eating my crow. This was a massive swing and a miss by yours truly because Florida got outclassed in every sense of the word. They didn't belong on the same field as Tennessee. And Tennessee, they're not going to the college football playoff, Bear, but it's going to end up yet again another successful season under Josh Heupel because you moved to 8-3. This was such a huge game for him. Like just from the standpoint of the narrative, right? We talked about it, the road losses and the nauseating losses on the road to lesser than quote unquote competition. And obviously this streak against Florida. And, this is a really heated rivalry for those that don't know. There's a lot of hatred here. This is and I know Florida stinks, but this is a big time signature win, I think, for Josh Heupel that he can say, hey, I'm the coach that broke the streak. I'm the first one since Philip Fulmer to beat Florida in the Swamp. Again, it was pure domination. Joey Aguilar, 17-22, 204, a touchdown in the ball game. They ran for 248. This was vintage Josh Heupel, Tennessee offense, just humming. And for the Gators, Bear, well, it was just more of the same for them. Just mistake after blunder. And Tennessee, of course, forcing those. Jaden Ball did rush for 96 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. But, this was a game you turned it on and you blinked. And it was 28-0. What was it? Was it 31-0 at half?
It was 31. They took their foot off the gas the entire
Yeah, they absolutely put it in cruise control. It was 31-0 at halftime. So, again, kudos to the Vols. Huge swing and miss by me. I had egg all over my face. And I'm not upset about it. I got a lot of Tennessee buddies living in Nashville. Very happy for the Vols. Well-deserved. Again, Florida did not belong on the same field as Tennessee.
Well, you have to eat crow. I don't. Because I have been very respectful to Tennessee this season. I picked you to beat Oklahoma, and I had egg on my face, but I did pick you to beat Georgia, and you nearly did. Here's the bottom line, guys. This was just a complete and utter dominant ground and pound. We're going to throw it down your throat until you cannot breathe anymore. You are gagging and grasping for air. And then we may be nice and take our foot off the gas. That was what we saw last night. Over 250 rushing yards for Tennessee. Deshaun Bishop with 116, 4.9 yards of play. They just said, you know what? We're going to take our passes when we get them. We're not going to force anything. And we're just going to go ahead and just run it until you go ahead and make us say, nope, we can't do it anymore. And they couldn't. And that was kind of the storyline. I watched every single snap of this game. I never took my eyes off of it because I was so entrenched. They took their foot off the gas. You could quite literally see that they were like, you know what? There's no point of us embarrassing them in front of their home crowd in the final game that they're going to face off against an SEC competitor. So we're good. Defensively, they did a good job of pressuring DJ Lagway. They did a good job of eliminating kind of the big rushing attacks. Lagway had the one run of 48 yards. Outside of that, they combined for, I think, under 100 rushing yards total. Like, it was just a very solid overall performance from Tennessee. And now, keep this in mind, Chris, the 10-win season is very much alive for a Volunteers program because they beat Vandy next week and they win their bowl game. Then they're going to have another double-digit win season underneath Josh Heupel, which, again, I'll just tell you as is, guys, Josh Heupel is the reason you're here in this conversation to begin with. Like, I want all the Tennessee fans that are sitting and asking, oh, you know what, Heupel, there's a ceiling with us. Yeah, you're right. There is a ceiling, potentially. That could be in the national championship. That could be as a national title contender year in and year out. But you were nowhere near there for years with Derek Dooley, with Lane Kiffin for the one season, with Butch Jones, who was a champion of life and lost his freaking mind over the week. You weren't there with Jerry Pruitt. And you got a guy that comes from an unorthodox background, runs an up-tempo offense that won't translate to the NFL, but it works out in Rocky Top. And it works at such a high-end level. People know that it is going to be a challenge to take them down. And there are still some Tennessee fans that want to run him off. And I'll tell you what, if Lane for some reason does go to Florida, or if he stays at Ole Miss, I'm calling Josh Heupel if I'm LSU. I'm going to ask him if he's happy. I'd go as far to say I'd call him at Florida and say, hey, do you really think that Tennessee's a better job than us? He'll say no, I'll tell you that much. But I'd give him a phone call. Because once again, you are seeing as a culture that needs to get a win, that knows the importance of winning this game in the Swamp. First time in 20 plus years. It meant a lot to Josh. It meant a lot to this team. It meant a lot to the rest of the organization. And for his long-term status in the future. Florida, Chris, I'm going to be completely real. That was far and away. And I'm not even making up a single word I'm saying. That was the most disgustingly pathetic excuse of a performance I have seen in the first half by any SEC football team this entire season. On both sides. That was pathetic. And your fans still want to go ahead and crowd out the Swamp. And it may have been to say, hey, Lane, look, we're 3-7, but we still show on up and show on out. You couldn't even deliver for them. There was no pride. There was no identity whatsoever. Play calling was pitiful, to say the least. Open field tackling was a joke. And I understand. Florida is banged up like crazy. Florida has so many injuries right now. That's not an excuse for fundamental things. That's not an excuse for getting the playoff on time. That's not an excuse for executing when it comes to your blocking assignments. That's not an excuse for making open field tackles. That's just lazy. And I was beyond disappointed in Florida's overall execution. You had an opportunity to at least show people that you were competitive in a rivalry game that you own. You own this game. Doesn't matter who's standing on the opposing sideline. You own it. You laid a dud. It was, if I'm a Florida fan, I'm beyond embarrassed looking at that performance yesterday. I want to burn the tape and go burn my eyeballs while I'm at it. And I don't say that often about college football teams, especially on this channel. I think I'm the nice one of the two. That was beyond pathetically sad.
Yeah, Florida stinks. I mean, yeah, that was brutal though. That game was. I mean, it feels like Florida's quit. I don't know if a rivalry game sparks them back up, and against Florida State, they come alive, and it's because of the in-state pride. But man, they just look like they've mailed it in. I mean, really, truly, and Yeah, I don't know. That's again, there's a lot of fixing that needs to go on. They had so many guys out yesterday too. It was. I mean, it was a shorter list of who was available than who was out. It felt like to a degree, but yeah, again, Tennessee just they were. It was like varsity versus JV out there. Really, truly silly pick by me, foolish pick, stupid pick. I will completely own that. Just dumb. It was a dumb pick. So it happens to the best of us. Either way, Tennessee, the dominating 31-11 win. Bear, is there any conversation about Tennessee deserving to be in the playoff if they beat Vandy?
No, because they just don't have the signature win. That's, I think, kind of it. Like, Vandy would be the signature win.
Right. I agree with you. I was just curious your take. And again,
Oh,
we'll
by the
talk
way,
about that.
Who picked Tennessee?
I know you did, Bear.
Who's tied with you now in the rankings?
Yeah, we're tied. It was just as the good Lord intended. We're tied going into the final weekend.
It's fantastic. That's what we love to see. You love when a plan comes together.
As it was supposed to be, Bear. Rivalry weekend will determine our pick 'em. Who knows? Maybe the SEC title game plays into it too. You never know. Maybe we just drag it into bowl. I think bowl season probably be its own separate thing. Bear, let's jump to the game that took place in Norman. Oklahoma beats Missouri. Final score of 17-6. The under in this game was like probably the easiest play of the day. I took OU -8.5. That covered. Bo Prabula, credit to him. He played and gutted it out. 20 for 36, 231. He did have 2 interceptions, though. Oklahoma's defense, Bear, obviously, the story of the game when you only allow 6 points. You held Ahmad Hardy to 57 rushing yards. You held Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts combined to 71 rushing yards. 2 yards per carry for the Missouri Tigers, which, of course, the running game is their strength. John Mateer put up a very John Mateer stat line over his last, like it's just kind of, this has been the story. 14 to 30, 173, 2 touchdowns. He also ran 18 times for 60 yards. Oklahoma able to manufacture just enough. But Bear, when you got a defense like Oklahoma's got, man, like we said, the front 7 for them is the great equalizer. It can wipe you out, completely erase you from the game. And Missouri offensively was just essentially erased from this. You didn't have to score a lot. You ain't got to score a lot to win when you got a defense like they've got.
Oklahoma has a national championship built defense. And I want to just say this because I hated the narrative going into the year about Brent Venables not being a good enough head coach, because if he lost and he went 16-6 in year 1 in the SEC, like, it actually bothered me. It really did, because I've seen the guy be able to call plays defensively and deliver elite performances on that side of the ball. It was very clear that they did not have an offensive spark last season with Jackson Arnold and with Seth Luttrell as the play caller. So, you know what? Give him an offseason, bring in a new guy, Ben Arbuckle. Let's bring in this quarterback, John Mateer. But I'm going to call plays defensively. If I'm going down with the ship, I'm going down with the ship in my way. And it has delivered on so many different vicinities. They are, in my opinion, the best defensive line in college football. Far and away. They didn't even have R. Mason Thomas, and it didn't matter. Like, they just did such a good job. What was priority number 1? Hey, Ahmad Hardy is the best weapon. Okay, no, he's not. 60 yards fewer than that. Cool. What do you got, Bo? Bo, be us through the air. Do it. If you can do that, we'll accept a loss. But we're not losing because Ahmad Hardy's running rampant against us. The secondary made plays. Eli Bowen, not Peyton Bowen, was able to go ahead and get a big-time interception and close things out. You also had the special teams really stepping on up at a big time. Critical Peyton Bowen block on the field goal attempt to make it, to keep the game within, I think it was at that point, a 1-possession matchup. There was so much to like about the way that they played. They're physical. They're in your face. They do not miss. They are aggressive. It's such a unique experience to watch as how dominant this defense is. And that's good enough to win you a national championship. Your offense is good enough to mess it up so badly next week that you can be left out of the college football playoff. You got to stop relying. And I've heard people talk about it all day, and I get it. There were multiple plays that looked very promising for Oklahoma. The Isaiah Satanga touchdown, you throw in the Giovanni Gibson score, a couple of runs from John Mateer, kind of getting back into his element about what made him special. He led the team in rushing yards. I understand that you had a banged up running back room. Guys, it's not an excuse. Like, at some point, your offense has got to show me something on a consistent basis going into the playoff that I can believe, hey, your defense gave up 20 points. 20. I need you to get 21. We got to score in this drive. Can you do it? And I just haven't seen it at this level yet. And it's whether play calling, execution, rush throws by Mateer. You're relying too heavily on bad mistakes by everyone else's defense, and your defense to kind of bail you out of trouble, then your offense actually taking that next jump forward. And it's frustrating because I've watched this defense deliver record-setting performances that feel like, hey, they're getting hot at the right time. You don't want to face off against them in the playoff. But don't you if you can just put up 24 and they can only put up 21? I mean, that was really what I took away in this game. There were a couple throws that probably should have been caught by Giovanni Gibson. There was one big throw that should have been caught by Deion Burks. There were plays that could have been made. There were also throws that should have been a little bit more refined. Timing should have been a little bit better. Just some areas that I'm wondering about Oklahoma, to where if that comes down to a fourth down call, do you trust John Mateer and company to get the job done? And right now it's hard to agree with that because they've had the most impressive resume in college football. This is the team that we're 9-3. I can argue they belong in. But can I argue that their offense is good enough to be able to hold it up in the playoff to give them an opportunity? Because there's a lot of teams that can.
We've said this about other teams, and maybe we mentioned about Oklahoma previously or earlier in the season, Bear. The defense controls their floor, but the offense controls their ceiling. I mean, that's the thing with Oklahoma. I mean, they have an extremely high floor because, like you said, the defense, it truly is national title caliber. You could win it all with this defense.
Absolutely.
Can you get enough out of the offense to complement it? Because at some point you're going to have to score points. It happens. It's like having an elite pitcher. Sometimes the hitters have to pick you up. Sometimes the offense, at some point, the offense is going to have to pick you up. They're going to have to, like you said, muster a drive late or go win a game. Can they do it? Do they have enough to do so? But I tell you, man, that defense is just, it's deadly. It's absolutely deadly. And Bear, that Oklahoma LSU game might set back offensive football decades. I mean, I don't know. Again, we'll talk about it this week, Bear, but I don't know if you saw what the total is in that game. It is 38.5.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I mean, honestly, it might be too much.
No.
It might be too much. It might.
Here's the beauty of it all. Oklahoma, you got 60 minutes, 4 quarters to win against an LSU team that beat you last year, and you're in it. Because this is the one team I can say, because there's going to be a lot of 10-2 teams that I think are left out of the playoff this year. This is the one where they've done everything possible to guarantee their spot in. They maybe are going to be beating the Big Ten runner-up if Michigan can beat Ohio State. They would go play in Indianapolis. They have a win over Alabama. They have a win on the road against Tennessee. They've done so many good things that, like, at this level, there's no doubting them. They have earned their marker in the playoff at 10-2. Like, again, there's a legit argument. I could say 9-3. You at least have to consider them. But 4 quarters, you're in the playoff. Good job.
4 quarters away, no doubt. 10-win season, college football playoff appearance, and obviously Brent Venables getting that seal of approval that OU fans were looking for before the season. Bear, let's jump to the game in Nashville, Tennessee. Baba Yaga! Go off, Diego. What did we say? No shot. No shot. Diego Pavia was losing his final home game. Bear, what I wouldn't have predicted, over 500 yards of offense, including 484 through the air. And he had to lobby with Clark Lee to go back. He could have had more. He could have had well over 500 yards. He was begging Clark Lee, please put me back in the game, which Clark Lee did actually oblige and bend the knee for one more drive. 45-17 win, Bear. I mean, I don't know if Theo Vaughn and Diego Pavia's moms are still in the headlines today, but they shouldn't be because, my God, a throttling, true belt to ass. Vandy just absolutely obliterates Kentucky. And again, in the form and fashion in which for Diego Pavia's last home game it should have happened. He took over. it was the game that Diego Pavia built. I mean, you look at the numbers. By the way, give Vandy's defense a ton of credit. Hold Kentucky to just 31 yards rushing. They were really good on the day. Cutter Boley got his 284th of the year, but he did throw 2 interceptions. And Zach Calzada came in and threw a pick as well. Shocker. 3 interceptions by the Vandy defense. But, man, you got to start with Diego Pavia. And what a send-off, dude. What a send-off for him. Final game in Nashville. I mean, like we said, there was never a doubt. There was never a doubt they were winning this football game, but the fashion in which it happened, very, very fitting.
I mean, you know what this was to me? 2 things. Number one, it was a stat padding option for him to guarantee that he can make a run to to make a run to the Heisman Trophy presentation. Because if some people, whether or not you want to believe it, ladies and gentlemen, I've met these people. I know these people. They have a Heisman vote and they don't actually watch a single bit of film. They just go look at numbers and say, oh, well, he threw for a lot of yards. Oh, he threw for a lot of touchdowns. Oh, he plays for this team. Oh, he does this. I'm going to vote for him. And so what he did was he made sure to leave no doubt that the stats were there, the numbers were there, the production was there, the consistency was there on a primetime game on ESPN to guarantee that people were paying attention to what he was. That was number one. The second thing it was a sign to the College Football Playoff Committee, guys, we are more than just this hoity-toity Vandy football, run it down your throat, be great on third down offensively and defensively, stop the run, be able to be winning with time of possession. They said, no, we can win through the air. Oh, Trey Richardson, 100-plus yards. Cool, go off. Hey, Eli Sowers, everyone wants to talk about him as being our only weapon. Not today. He actually was number 4 in our passing attack. Like, we barely utilized him in our standpoint. We're going to go ahead and get the ball on out to Junior Sherrill. We're going to make Cedric Alexander make some plays. Cole Spence is going to make some plays. I'm going to throw a beautiful pass to Richie Hoskins across the middle of the field, and you're going to respect me. And the reason I think that they did that was last week, Vandy was on a bye. So what did the College Football Playoff Committee do? They said, hey, there was a beatdown between NC State and Miami. Miami, we're going to make you jump, Vandy. You're going to get the higher nod. Okay, cool. We're going to earn that nod back and show you that, hey, a team like Kentucky that probably would be 8 wins or 9 wins in the ACC, yeah, we can hold our own against them. We're going to dismantle that SEC team. So now you got to give us the same amount of credit. And they played great defensively. They forced 4 turnovers on the day. They limited a really good rushing attack, and they kind of took the wind out of a team that had gained a lot of traction going into this one. There were many people from the Kentucky side that were saying, hey, don't look now. We're going to march on into First Bank Stadium and end the Diego Pavia BS. And the only thing that you ended was your opportunity to guarantee a 7-win season unless you go to a bowl game. Now it is a must-win situation to go up against Louisville. But it was a beautiful experience, I think, for Diego. Again, you and I and many people have talked about him in such a prominent light. I remember watching kind of his film when he was coming on in from New Mexico State. And I knew that he would be a quarterback that wasn't the elite of the elite. But you realize this year that he made a goal for himself that he was not going to allow to come up short. And you know what I can appreciate a lot about him, dude? He has been the same version of himself from week 0 back in June to now. And he's never wielded any bit of the confidence, the poise, the demeanor, how he's acted. He told Paul Feinbaum, our goal is to go play for a national title. My goal is to go play for to win a Heisman Trophy. Guys, he hasn't dismayed any of those promises. They're still in the hunt for the college football playoff. He still very much is in contention for the Heisman Trophy. There is an opportunity for him to be the greatest quarterback and the greatest player to come through Vanderbilt probably in over 3 decades. He has the culture change. Jared Curtis, the best quarterback in college football, is sincerely looking at Vanderbilt as a legit program to go to. Like, he has done all the things that he has planned to accomplish. And I think that speaks volumes of the full circle moment that was Saturday. Guaranteeing that, hey, I came in here wanting to play one more season of college football. I'm leaving the school as a legend, and I'm leaving the school in a great place. That was what we witnessed on Saturday afternoon.
Again, a fitting in. And I think you're right, Bear. I mean, heck, you can even go back to he's been the same guy since last year when he came in and we didn't know who he was, and that same confidence, that same bravado, it's never wavered, and obviously it's paid off. Bear, Diego Pavia right now via our friends over at FanDuel, he is he is tied second best odds to win the Heisman Trophy. Fernando Mendoza right now at Indiana is -135. Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Love, and Diego Pavia, all at +500. So he's right there. I mean, he's legitimately right there in the race to win it all.
All I will say is that if the Heisman Trophy is supposed to go to not just the best player in college football, but the most influential player and impactful player for their team, Pavia needs to be a front runner. That's just it.
He's the most valuable player for his football team.
Where is Vanderbilt without Diego Pavia? Where is it? I mean, quite literally, where is this program without number 2 leading the charge? And I understand that you don't like him because he's brash and he has an attitude and he's not afraid to go ahead and ruffle some feathers. And he plays for a school that's known for being the nerds and that, yeah, they did beat Alabama and he talked a big game going on into it and he did the fake kneel down. But like that moxie is what got Vandy to this spot. So why are you even thinking that you want him to change his identity if that's who he is as a player? Like it makes no sense at that standpoint. So I'm sorry, like I get it. He's probably not going to win the award. But I'll tell you what, if you're a voter and you actually give a damn about what the award is supposed to mean, he better be in the Big Apple. And if you don't want to vote him to the Big Apple, go ahead, give me your card. I'll take it. I will make sure I give it to the right voters because they understand what this award is all about.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bear. I mean, again, most valuable, it's not even a conversation. It's not even a conversation. Diego Pavia has to be in New York, in my opinion. Bear, moving off the Vandy game and the best of the rest. Again, it was Cupcake Saturday. There were a lot of blowouts. Once you're kind of quick, we'll do a little bit of rapid fire here, just kind of very brief takeaways. Probably the most notable is LSU beat Western Kentucky 13-10. It was 13-3 late. Western Kentucky has the scoop and score for the touchdown. Again, LSU's offense just abysmal, just flat out abysmal. They do find a way to win, but again, the 13-10 final, maybe even more notably from that game was Brian Kelly's son saying, free my boy BK, free my boy, free my guy BK, which was just outrageous.
Let me ask you, what you want him to say? He's not playing. Like he's not getting on
anything. Field. Don't say it, but he's also been super outspoken on social media. So, I mean,
he's not ever going to get on the field. Not like that. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like he's just going to practice and being a part of workouts. Like that's it. So screw it. Here's your dad. Yeah, I get it. Whatever. This was a bad offensive performance. Michael Van Buren, dude, I have tried to defend you as much as possible. I think that there is a lot to like about you. This was not one of those games. Easy missed passes downfield. The offensive line was dreadful at times. 2 fumbles. Thankfully, 1 was recovered. He didn't add a lot of pressure when it came to the tackles for losses. He did have 5 sacks on the day. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive, but still just a lot of self-imploding errors that really kind of hurt this team and allowed Western Kentucky to hang around. I mean, like it was, I'm sitting last night getting ready to go for the second half of Tennessee. And I'm like, that's got to be a mistake. There's no way that's the score of this game. Oh, no, it is. Oh, they don't have anything. They have nothing going right for them. Like,
I mean, Western Kentucky was winning this game for a while.
It was 3-0 going into like the final 3 minutes of the first half. How? Quite literally, how?
Yeah, that was one of the more odd results, certainly. I mean, the rest of it, Bear, at least my top takeaways, I'll let you dive into it. Deuce Knight, obviously something to talk about. Throws for 239, rushes for 162. He looked dynamic. He looked explosive. Obviously, it now opens up the conversation and the question, does Auburn start him against Alabama this weekend in the Iron Bowl? Georgia, I told you, Bear, 38 points or more on the spread. Georgia never covers. They were up 35-3 in the third quarter, and they just take the air out of the ball, and they win that game 35-3 because Kirby Smart has no care in the world about covering a 43.5-point spread. The next time I swear that Georgia is a 38-point or more favorite, I am putting 10 times what I normally put on a bet down on that game because it's free money at this point. Either way, I mean, Georgia dominated, no big deal. South Carolina bounced back. You know, I knew the conversation about they could lose to Coastal. Like that was it's never as bad as it seems. That was aggressive. They straight up dominated Coastal 51-7. Bear, the other big takeaway for me personally, unfortunately, my Ty Simpson for Heisman bet is dead because Ty Simpson like complete shit in that game. He throws for 147 yards. He throws 2 interceptions. These are games where you have to pad your stats and put up big numbers, and he hasn't played well recently. And yeah, again, the bet is dead. I think he's now, Bear, he's plus 40,000 to win the Heisman Trophy. So he is not even remotely in the conversation. He's got the same odds as Trinidad Chambliss does. And I'd probably say Trinidad Chambliss is more deserving than Ty Simpson at this point. Either way, Keelan Russell, some young quarterbacks in the state of Alabama balling out. Keelan Russell, 7 for 9 for 78. There's a lot of buzz around the way he played. And yeah, I mean, outside of that, Bear, A&M wins 48-0. I mean, it was Cupcake Saturday in the SEC, so some pretty big scores. But top takeaways from you, is there anything that jumped out from some of the stuff I mentioned or otherwise?
So Deuce Knight is a really, 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 really talented player, and that's going to be a priority for Auburn to keep around next year. Whoever is the next head coach, DJ Durkin, John Summerall, whoever they bring in, that's a priority because you can see the, I would say, traits that you want in a quarterback. I'm not ready to say he needs to start against Alabama. I think that putting him in that kind of pressure mode of, hey, go win your first game in conference play against a top 10 team that needs to win this matchup to go to the college football playoff. I think that's a little facetious. There has to be some packages to sign on in. I agree with you, but he looks the part of what you want in a quarterback. And I definitely think that there's a lot to like about his overall game to where there's room to grow next season. Here's the thing I will appreciate about Alabama. Yeah, Ty Simpson had 2 interceptions. They ran it 49 times and had 8 rushing touchdowns. They quite literally listened to all of us and said, hey guys, let's run the football a little bit more. Like, let's show that we can run the football. And I get it. It's Eastern Illinois, but nobody rushes for 8 touchdowns and we don't talk about it. Like 8 rushing touchdowns on the day is pretty impressive. And Jay Miller kind of got back into his rhythm. A.K. Deere had a couple of big-time runs. Kevin Riley had a couple of big-time runs. It's not going to matter for most of these guys because they're not going to have a big-time role in next week's game in the Iron Bowl. But still, you take it, you appreciate it. Lenore Sellers kind of gave you a little bit of hope of what you can expect if they fix some things this offseason. His little brother, Jaden Sellers, I think has got to be able to be a big-time player next week against Clemson if they want to be able to win that matchup, because you can see the connectivity between the two. 4 catches, 127 yards, had that big 75-yard strike downfield. Donovan Murph's getting a little bit more involved defensively. They got after a Coastal Carolina team that had no business being in that game. And then for Texas A&M, probably one of the more underlying things, A&M did very little when it came to the passing attack with Marcel Reed. I mean, I think that he had, if I'm not mistaken, 15 pass attempts.
Yeah. 10 for 15 for 120 and 3 touchdowns.
He had 3 touchdowns on the day. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, he also was able to make some plays with his legs. So it's just like,
they played 4 quarterbacks in the game.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take it. Like,
and 10 different guys carried the football. 10 different guys rushed the football. So I mean,
it's like,
it was truly an empty the bench game for them.
And you know what? Good for you.
But it should be.
I mean, you took down a team that is 1-11 in FCS play. Like, that's, you were supposed to do that. Like, let's be real. You were supposed to act that way. And then of course Georgia. It's Georgia. Like, Georgia had a good offensive game plan. Not a lot to write home about. Charlotte, a 1-11 team that is not looking good, or a 1-10 team that could very well be 1-11 this year. Not a lot to write home about. It was the most stereotypical Georgia game, top to bottom. I will say 1 interception for Gar Stockton. What's the deal with these quarterbacks that we are all hyping on up? Gunnar Stockton, Ty Simpson, looking the part. And then they play like these G5 or like these FCS schools, and they end up crapping the bed and having overall underwhelming performances.
I think it probably just gets really vanilla offensively, to be honest with you. I mean, if I had to guess, I mean, sure. Especially on the Georgia side. I mean, they could beat Charlotte 100-3 if they wanted to, but they just don't have the desire to do that. They don't really feel like that's something they need to do. So maybe saving some stuff for Georgia Tech. I don't know, but yeah, either way, Bear, it was a tune-up week for sure. And as we put a pin in it, rivalry weekend is what we turn our attention to. And Bear, I'll just say this. I kind of teased this last week. I think rivalry weekend's the best weekend of the college football season. And there's some great ones. Opening weekend, first weekend of October, where the air kind of starts, the weather breaks a little bit and it kind of gets cool and crisp. And, the games start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But, dude, rivalry weekend is just undefeated. I mean, the matchups, you go into Thanksgiving, and we should have college football on Thanksgiving. That's a whole total side point. But you go into Thanksgiving, you get that Black Friday, that slate of games, obviously going to Saturday, these big rivalries, the hatred. You've got so many teams. The entire season is banking on this ball game. The whole, we could go 1-11. If that one is against our arch rival, we had a successful season. Now, is that a good way to think about it? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. That's rivalry weekend. This is my favorite weekend of the college football season. I think it's the best weekend of the college football season. I am so stoked that we have made it to rivalry weekend. And I can't wait to take this in because we have so many of these matchups with so much on the line. But the beautiful thing about this weekend, you don't need any of that. The Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl. It don't matter what's on the line beyond just the Iron Bowl and the bragging rights. The game, the Egg Bowl, Florida State, the Palmetto Bowl with South Carolina, Clemson. You just keep naming them off, all these great rivalries. I'm stoked, man. I love rivalry weekend, my favorite weekend easily of the season. So we made it.
We made it, and that means that we're done. Like, we're at the end of the year. And, like, this is the problem.
Damn it, let's soak in every second then. That's all we can do.
So much all year about appreciating the week 3 slate, the week 11 slate, the games that had no gusto, the cupcake matchups. And now for some teams, it's over. Your season comes to an end on Saturday. Yeah. That's what it is.
But see, that's what makes the rivalry games even that much bigger. Think about South Carolina. Yeah. Think about Clemson. It's like, this is it, baby. This is it.
Well, for one of you actually are going to one of you is already going to a bowl game because
is Clemson bowl eligible?
Okay. Because they won against Furman. So now they are 6-5.
Well, then if you're South Carolina, it's like, hey, it all comes down to this. We won't be any bowl champion, SEC champion, national champion, but we can be Palmetto Bowl champions. And that, I'd argue, that championship for that fan base, and if it were vice versa with Clemson, that championship, you take more pride in winning than almost any of them. So, yeah, that's sort of the beauty of it. That's sort of the beauty of it. So,
before we go, attaboys and reactions. Let's go ahead and knock this out.
I'm going to give Steve Sarkisian an attaboy. If for no other reason than that play call and that Philly special pass thing to Arch Manning, I'll give him an attaboy on that. I thought the play calling was actually pretty good. Obviously, the execution was great. I mean, Texas had so many guys running just wide open. But give Sark some credit. He's taken a beating on the play calling side. I thought he got pretty creative in some of the different looks. And like I said, just that Philly special alone, I'll give him a lot of credit for that one. That was a really fun and unique play call. So, attaboy Steve Sarkisian.
Attaboy to you, Diego Pavia. I mean, what a way
I laid that one up for you. I gave you that
one. What a way to end your tenure at Vanderbilt, at least when it comes to First Bank Stadium, because you won't host a playoff game. If you are to make it to the postseason, you got to go to travel to Neyland next week. But, I mean, remind everybody that Vanderbilt was a team that people laughed at when they had conversations of being at least 6 wins. And then last season, they get 6 wins, and people said, okay, well, maybe they'll be bowl eligible. That'll be it. He's delivered on every single level of his promise that he made back in June. And then to close it all out, over 500 yards of offense and 5 touchdowns, and begging his coach to let him come back in for one more drive, which I think ended up being an interception, if I'm not mistaken. But still, making sure that like you try to go ahead and get 600 yards by yourself, and knowing that this program is going to have an opportunity to get 10 regular season wins, if not 10 wins when it comes to the bowl game that you go to. You have an opportunity to land your quarterback in Jared Curtis for the long haul, which could be a game changer for Vanderbilt when it comes to NIL purposes. And you see the buy-in from the fan base. And I was seeing some people talk about this online. Kentucky is now viewed as a weaker game day atmosphere than Vanderbilt. And that's what you got with number 2. And the culture and the demeanor and the poise and the directiveness, that comes from Diego Pavia. To have the type of game to close out your season, attaboy number 2. Baba Yaga, you know I love you. Now just give me a follow on Twitter.
I'm going to go attaboy Josh Heupel. Getting that win. I mean, listen, you're the first coach since Philip Fulmer to win in the Swamp. Attaboy. That's something to hang your hat on. I don't care how bad Florida is. That's a really big deal. Winning that game, beating the Gators in the swamp, big deal. So attaboy Josh Heupel. Heck, attaboy that entire team. I mean, obviously ignored the history and said to hell with it. We know we're the better football team. We're gonna lay down the law. We're gonna lay down the law. They did that. So attaboy Vols, ending the streak.
Attaboy Brent Venables. Betting on yourself to call defensive plays. Betting on yourself to be able to trust that you know what's best for this team. Your defense is one of the best, if not the best, in college football. It's good enough to win a national championship, and you're 4 quarters away from going to the playoff, where you earned every step along the way to get there. Beating Michigan, beating Tennessee, beating Alabama on the road, getting a win against a quality, in my opinion, Mizzou team, holding your own against Oklahoma at times. I mean, Ole Miss at times. Attaboy to you. Quite literally, the only thing that's missing is a solid way to close out the year on the Palace on the Prairie. 10 wins on the horizon. And guess what? We're not talking about a buyout anymore. We're talking about a contract extension, which I think a lot of people in Oklahoma never thought they would hear this offseason.
I got one more Bear attaboy to my guy, Alex Daltreve. Again, I had a really good time with him this weekend. We had a blast. I really appreciate him helping show me around the campus, just show me around Austin. So, Alex, appreciate you, brother. Really good. Y'all be seeing Alex, obviously, on our content. He's going to be doing some different stuff. We're really excited to announce, but attaboy, Alex. We had a good time in Austin over the weekend.
Attaboy, Arch Manning. Brother,
yeah,
you had to deal with a lot of crap. You got a little bit of traction back on in after the game against Oklahoma and Red River. You had a really good game against Vanderbilt. Kind of figured some things out against Mississippi State. 6 total touchdowns on the day. My apologies. 6 touchdowns on the day. That now brings your total to 31 on the year. 7 turnovers. Your completion percentage has gone up. And you're playing confident. It's a little too late, in my opinion, to make the college football playoff, but there's clear evidence that going into 2026, you should actually be the Heisman favorite or a Heisman favorite. Because if this is the version that we're going to see all next year, playing with this type of demeanor, Texas will be right back in the college football playoff hunt.
Bear, let's get into overreactions. I have one single overreaction. I'm going to keep it simple, short, sweet. My overreaction has to do with the Lane Kiffin stuff. Mississippi State and the points is the easiest bet of the weekend.
Yep.
And maybe that's an overreaction, but it's an overreaction for a reason. That's what we do here. I can't help but think I think they're 7.5 point underdogs. State plus 7.5 is the easiest money you will make on rivalry weekend because of this Kiffin chaos. So that is, we'll talk more about it when we talk about the game, but that's my overreaction.
Alabama better be ready to fight or they're going to lose in June here. Especially if Deuce Knight does what he did this past week. That's one. Second one, I feel for Oklahoma fans because you're going to get embarrassed at the first round of the playoff. I don't think that this offense is going to be enough to get the job done. I just don't. And I'm going to be completely real. And it's mostly because of you Oklahoma fans. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to be honest. But a lot of Oklahoma fans say, how dare you think that Oregon's a better team than Oklahoma? No, I think Oregon has a lesser case in terms of resume to make the playoff than Oklahoma. The better team? Yeah, if you tell me right now, both these defenses and one offense is going to show on up, I'm taking Oregon. Well, Oregon, Oregon, you have a championship defense. Great. Show me Oklahoma's offense on one drive, Oregon's offense on one drive. Who am I taking to go ahead and marches down the field? Better yet, who am I doing it against Texas Tech? Who am I doing it against Indiana? Who am I doing it against Ohio State? Quite literally, of all the teams that currently are in the playoff hunt, Oklahoma would be very last. Your defense is elite. Your offense is not. I feel for you because if you waste a year, even though you will make the college football playoff, and that's a lot to be proud of.
Bear, that being said, unless you got anything else, we'll go ahead and put a pin in it. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Guys, really good stuff. Obviously, this week, different with Thanksgiving. Really excited for the holidays, spend time with some family. I know all of us out there will be doing so. So, normal overtime drive that is on Wednesday will instead be on Tuesday to go ahead. Obviously, we want you guys to spend time with family, whether that's hitting the road or them coming to you. Obviously, into Wednesday, people will be enjoying themselves with family, like I mentioned, getting ready for Thanksgiving. So Tuesday night, you can expect us that normal 8 o'clock Central Time slot. We'll be rocking and rolling, previewing, predicting best bets, and college football playoff rankings reaction, because the ranking show is on Tuesday night. So essentially immediately after, we'll be doing what we already been doing on Tuesdays, but it'll be a combo of what we do Tuesdays and Wednesdays, one big overtime draft show, which is going to make for an epic show, by the way.
Yeah.
So going to be a lot of fun. Previews, predictions for all the games this weekend. We'll get rolling first thing essentially tomorrow. Content bleeding out of the eyeballs of the week, of course. And one final thing as we depart. The SEC Unfiltered Tour. Where are we going is the question. Folks, I will be doing something for the SEC Unfiltered Tour that I have never done before, ever. First time in the history of the SEC Unfiltered Tour. We are hitting 2 games in a weekend. 2 games, not 1, but 2. Friday, the Egg Bowl in Starkville, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. When some run from the chaos, I run to the chaos. Give me the toxicity. Give me the craziness. Give me all this Kiffin nonsense. And give me one of the nastiest, most underrated rivalries in the sport. The Egg Bowl, State, Rebels, Bulldogs, the Cowbells. And I've never been. My first ever Starkville experience, by the way. Super stoked for that. After that concludes on Friday, we're making our way over to the great state of Alabama. The loveliest little village on the plains, a game that Cole the Bear Thompson's familiar with and that he's attended, but I have not. That being the Iron Bowl down at Jordan-Hare. Auburn trying to spoil Alabama's season as the good Lord would have intended. Bama coming in with 2 losses. Their worst nightmares are potentially on the horizon. Going to be a great atmosphere. Night game at Jordan-Hare. My first time ever seeing a night game in that venue, Bear, after last season when I went to the Arkansas game, 2:30 kick. They lost. I said, I got to get back and see this place at its true peak. What everybody talks about to me, one of the best environments of the sport. And I knew for this game, Hugh Freeze or no Hugh Freeze, that place is going to be a straight-up zoo. So can't wait. Again, first time I've ever done it. Back-to-back. It worked out really well, obviously, because Starkville to Auburn pretty close. And I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked. It's going to be a very busy weekend. You're going to be reacting to games Friday and Saturday. I mean, it may be the last week of the regular season, and we're sprinting through this mother effer. You know what I mean? We are getting after it, pedal to the metal, more than we've done essentially at any point this season. So I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to get to Starkville for the first time and see the Iron Bowl for the first time ever. I'll probably be getting your pointers on it, by the way, Bear, when we preview the game. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's a beauty. I'll tell you what, I've only been to 2 in my entire life on the road, but it is a beautiful campus. It is a great environment, and there is nothing like going into the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare Stadium where everything is on the line. Quite literally everything for both teams are on the line.
A place where many of our mutual friends and many of my Bama friends that I have made, a place they swear they will never return to. So I'm excited to experience it firsthand. The voodoo shaman man, the
magic is real.
The ghouls and the goblins coming up from the grass, tripping up Ty Simpson, lifting Deuce Knight into the end zone. No, it's going to be a good time. I'm really excited. Again, rivalry weekend. Absolutely love it. That being said, guys, like I said, we're going to put a pin in it. Really good stuff tonight. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, do want to tell you about our friends, of course, over at FanDuel, because as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, it's NBA tip-off week. FanDuel is your home for live betting, even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand. FanDuel's got live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join, because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And, of course, guys, they've got everything else, too. College football, college basketball, NBA, like we just mentioned, NHL, you name it, they've got it. Fight night, whatever it is, our friends at FanDuel, FanDuel.com/SECU. And again, there's so much college football action this week, this weekend. It's also feast week for all you college basketball junkies out there. Get in on it. FanDuel.com/SECU. That being said, this is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered's SEC bi-weekly SEC football show, the best SEC football show on the internet. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out all across all our social media platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your Sunday night, and let's have one heck of a rivalry week. Till next time, cheers.